there everyone, SQ here. Season 2 of Guilty Gear Strive is finally upon us. We finally have it. It's in our hands. And with it, of course, comes a myriad of character changes that we need to figure out how to use them. Today, we're going to be talking about Ram and what happened to her. So in my opinion, Ram got quite a few changes that are actually pretty impactful, and I think she made out overall better than previous version, which is kind of terrifying to say considering she was already a top 3 character, pretty much unanimously agreed last version. So I don't know what Arceus is doing, but that's not really our problem. Our problem is just to figure out how to use the things they actually gave her. So today we're going to talk about, what did they give her? What do they do? How do we utilize it? We're going to talk about all of that. Also keep in mind that as of recording this, we're only like a day into the patch, so there's probably some things that we can do that I don't know yet. Just going to talk about, my initial impressions of what we can do with all these changes. So the first change we're going to talk about is not actually Ram specific. This is actually a universal mechanic, and that is that P and K normals now will receive counter hit slowdown. So what this looks like is whenever you hit your opponent and you counter hit them with a P or K, you can see that there's a bit of a slowdown effect now. And what this effectively means is that you get more hit stun when you counter hit somebody with a P or K normal, specifically like 5Ks and 2Ks and the like. So the reason that this is really important is because for Ram in particular, she has some of the best P and K normals in the game, especially her 2K and her 5K. These are fantastic normals, very fast, very safe. The only downside that they've ever really had is that they were not rewarding, specifically kind of at their ideal range, right? If we turn off counter hit, there's not really anything she can do to combo off of these in this situation, right? Traditionally or typically her 2D won't really combo from these from like max range situations. So she's always had an issue kind of converting them. That's the only downside they really had. However, due to this counter hit slowdown change on P and K normals, now she can do things like 5K 6H Dark to get a knockdown. She can do 5K Rekka to get a knockdown, right? These aren't the fanciest combos, but they are so impactful just to give Ram some extra reward and get her offense started from these amazing normals that she already had, right? And this is particularly relevant when it comes to dealing with 6Ps, which is something that a lot of people will represent against Ram in neutral is 6P, right? 6P deals with Ram's Fire Slash and her 5K and buttons like that. Now, because of this change, her 2K is an amazing button for dealing with 6Ps in neutral and if your opponent's trying to represent them defensively. So this is such a huge change for Ram. I really cannot overstate how good this is for her. It is a universal change, but with all universal changes, sometimes it benefits some characters more than others. And in this case, I think it benefits Ram quite a lot. So very good for her. Also kind of hand in hand with this, her 2K has less pushback now. So it's much more likely to actually just combo into 2D. So you don't even need the counter hit all the time. There's a lot of situations where it'll just go into 2D now, which is very, very nice. 2K having less pushback is also just good for pressure because it gives you more situations where you can set up tick throws. As you can see, she can press 2K a lot of times now before she is pushed away from her opponent. So she has a lot better pressure even mid-screen now, which is pretty crazy. Her other big change, I would say, possibly the biggest change, is the fact that they buffed her 2S, and they buffed it a lot. So they made it both faster on startup and faster in recovery. This used to be a 12 frame startup, and now it is 10 frame, which may not sound like a lot, that's only 2 frame difference. But when we're talking about going from 12 to 10, especially with a button with this type of range and being low, it makes it a lot better in neutral situations just for, again, calling out things like 6Ps. It's just much faster to come out, gives you a lot more options to deal with 6Ps in neutral. And it also has some applications around start. I'm going to switch to Nago real quick. So as of the last version, Ram actually had a lot of issues contesting a character like Nago at round start because of the speed of her buttons, right? In particular, Nago's 2S and his DP special move were very hard for Ram to contest just because of how fast they were. In the case of beating Nago's 2S, our 2S is just faster now. We just get to beat his 2S for free at round start now. And we'll peek at a new combo you can do if you want to go check that out yourself. So this is very nice just for that. It also lets you beat him doing DP round start, which was something that was also very difficult for most characters to deal with. Most characters still struggle to deal with this. But with 2S being 10 frame startup, we can just stuff him right out now. So this change has made a pretty big impact, just neutral in general, and specifically round start for some matchups, which I think is really nice. The fact that it has less recovery also means that you're less likely to get whiff punished for it, right? Just look at how little recovery this has now. Like, I'm just gonna hold up after whiffing it. So not only is it just 2 frames faster and 2 frames faster recovery as well, right? 2 frames faster startup, 2 frames faster recovery. That means it's 4 frames total less, which means that it is just so much harder to actually whiff punish in neutral, which makes it a lot better. It also means that they changed its advantage on block. It used to be -7 and now it's -5, which is pretty good. And there's some other little extra things that you can do now, like on counter hit from 2S, recover in time to do far slash and just link that, which is kind of funny. So her 2S is a lot better now, and I'm still kind of getting used to it. I'm not really used to this button being this good, but it is very, very nice to have. The next thing we can talk about is the fact that this is actually another mostly universal change, and that is that her close slash is actually plus on block now. It is +1, which sounds insane because it is. It's actually crazy that she has a plus on block close slash now. And in particular, when you pair it with the fact that P and K normals have counter hit slowdown now, there's a lot more options when it comes to setting up frame traps, especially midstream. So now doing something like this is a frame trap, right? Close slash into 2K is a frame trap. And not only that, because of counter hit slowdown, that frame trap is more rewarding than it would have been. Because again, you can do something like this, right? You can get that type of combo. If you're in the corner, you can do something like this, right? Into like a full conversion. You can do Rekka loops off of it. So I think these two changes together, the counter hit change and the fact that she has a plus on block close slash, gives her a lot more ways to structure pressure, especially when it comes to midstream, which is a department where she's always been like pretty good, but not especially strong. Now she has some extra juice that she can use in that regard, which is nice. Another change that is a little bit small, but also very nice to have, is the fact that Daro now goes further than it did previously. And they changed something with how her collision box works. I'm not going to get too much into it because it's a little nerdy. But basically what it means is that she is left closer after doing Daro. And the reason this is relevant is because she is now in close slash range almost always after doing Daro. This is fantastic, especially when you consider the fact that close slash is plus on block, right? Now whenever you get something like a whiff punish into this, you get real pressure from this. This is very strong offense that she gets from her whiff punishes. Of course, you know, she still has stuff like Rekka, which will give her like a legitimate knockdown. But in these situations where you can't get Rekka, you're going to be more frequently in the situation where you get some real strong offense, which is nice. Another change that I'm still trying to kind of figure out what all we can really do with it, they changed how her J214S works. And the best way I can kind of simplify how it works now is that it causes her to halt her like vertical momentum sooner than it did before. So now you'll notice whenever I do it TK to off the ground, she kind of does it lower than she would have done previously. This just makes it a little bit better in neutral as a way to kind of like poke at people safely, and it's pretty good because it gives you a hard knockdown. And at the same time, it's more affected by horizontal momentum. So you'll notice whenever I do TK J214S here, she actually moves backward when she does it now. If you do like air dash into it, she'll kind of keep going with the air dash even though you're doing the special move. All in all, what you can really do with this, I'm not entirely sure. The biggest things I've noticed is that it's a little bit better on block now. If you ever do stuff like, I don't know, there's situations where you have people block it when you're falling. It's a little bit better on block than it was previously. And when you TK it, it's a little bit lower to the ground. So it's a little safer to throw out against people. What all you can actually do with it though, still figuring that out. The last buff that I want to give quick mention to is the fact that they upped the damage on Galvados, and it's really, really, really fun. Basically what they did is they kind of redistributed the way the damage is dealt out with this move. It pretty much results in it just doing more damage than Mortabato pretty much at any point. So anytime you're doing any type of combo, as long as you don't care about giving your opponent more burst gauge, is going to do more damage to combo into Galvados than it would to combo into Mortarbocker. And it's just honestly really funny looking that it does so much damage now. Now that's pretty much it for her buff. She did get one semi-serious nerf that I think we need to talk about. And that is the fact that her sword toss will now go away if she is hit during its travel time. And pretty much the main thing that this results in is the fact that you can disrespect her block strings into sword toss with 6 speed, such as an example like this. Previously, there were some characters that could already do this. Characters like Zato and Giovanna could already 6p it pretty cleanly. They would never really trade. But a lot of characters, if they didn't delay their 6p or time it extremely properly, what would happen is they would try to 6p, it would hit Ram, and then the sword would hit them, and then Ram would just run up a combo off of it, right? With this change, pretty much every character in the game can just 6p after something like Close Slash into Sword Toss and interrupt it. This is technically a nerf. You can do this, you can represent this option. It's not the worst thing to try and do. However, a lot of people don't realize just how risky it is to do this and how many different ways you have to prevent somebody from trying to 6p here. So if someone is representing 6p as an option, there's a myriad of ways you can go about stopping them, right? One of them is just doing 2s instead, right? Just do 2s and you'll counter hit them right out of anything they do, right? It's just a normal frame trap. They get counter hit by it and then you get a full combo off of it and they die, right? Another higher reward option, kind of similar in how 2S works, is 6H. If you hit someone with 6H, they will actually just die. Like they're going to super explode from this, right? Look how much damage this does. So this is on Nago, by the way. 300 damage. 300 damage because you tried to mash 6p after Close Slash, right? Her Close Slash is also a plus on block. Remember I was just talking about, you can do frame traps like Close Slash into 2k. And this is another way that you can stop people from mashing 6p, right? You get a full combo off of it. So while you can represent this as an option, there is so much inherent risk behind doing so, and it is pretty trivial to actually punish. So I would not over-rely on this option whatsoever. It's also worth noting that while Close Slash into Sword Toss is 6p-able, stuff like 6H into Sword Toss is not. And while this comes with different positives and negatives when it comes to pressure structure, just worth noting that, you know, if you do something like 6H or 2H into Sword Toss, you don't have to worry about being 6p. So yeah, that's pretty much it for RAM changes. There really isn't much else that's really worth talking about, at least from initial impressions. Again, overall, I think she got a couple of new toys to play with, a couple little buffs here and there, you know, 2S being better, the counter hit buff is really nice for her. You know, stuff like Daro giving you better Oki is great. I think it's pretty crazy that she got buffed at all, so I don't know, I'm kind of bogging out over here, to be honest. Still figuring out all these changes. You know, if you guys would like to stop by my stream, I'm still figuring stuff out, still working with the chat, trying to figure out what all we can do, trying to see how matchups have changed. If you would like to stop by the stream, you can find a link down in the description below. I stream pretty much 5 days a week. I do streaming kind of as my full-time gig right now, so if you want to come hang out, it would be appreciated. And of course, if you do like the video, please consider dropping a like, and let me know down in the comments below if you have any other questions about RAM or anything like that. Anyways, that's gonna do it for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. See you in the next one.